Help Us podcast. I'm Priya.
And I'm Sofia.
This week we're talking about the Minimalism documentary, and it's a documentary by
Matt D'Avella,
Joshua Fields Milburn, and Ryan Nicodemus, who has like the coolest last name ever. And it's basically just about this idea of minimalism and how it fits into our world today. It's pretty cool. One thing that I just wanted to say right off the bat is, like, I was watching this documentary on minimalism and, like, not buying a ton of shit and all this stuff. And then as soon as the documentary finished, I went on ASOS because they were having a sale, and I bought like 20 things.
Stop it.
Fuck. I totally did that.
Is it like a rebellious reaction?
I guess. I don't know.
Or like you were just trying to balance the extreme of what they were saying with another extreme?
Yeah, I guess.
What's wrong with you is basically what I'm saying.
I don't know. I was just like, I was watching the documentary, I finished, and I was like, wow, they have such good points. I should get rid of things. And then I was like, oh, if I get rid of things, that means I'll need more things. And then I was like, okay, let me buy things in advance so that when I get rid of things, I'll have other things. Yeah, I know. It's very circuitous logic.
I'm speechless.
But also, I feel like it's very in character for me. You know? Mm. Yeah. In other news, tangential news, I guess, something that I started doing that I really like is putting my phone away on lifts. So, like, I don't listen to music, and I just, like, basically pretend like I'm 5 years old and I look out the window.
Oh, I do that all the time. It's the best way to dissociate.
Right?
Yeah, you just feel like, I don't know, like, the nature of being in a vehicle where you're, like, still but you're going somewhere, it's very soothing to me.
Yeah, same. And, like, I missed out on so much of that just because I would constantly always be on my phone, like, doing shit that's, like, not doing anything, like checking Instagram or, like, listening to, like, music or whatever. But I started putting away my phone, looking out the window, and it's just, like, a really nice way to have some quiet time because everyone else is on their phone. No one's talking to you. It's actually awesome.
I was in a Lyft once, and I was with this, like, 2 other Asian women, and one of them was having a conversation with, like, a friend or a coworker about how she was having a hard time at work, like, fitting in and, like, trying to keep up with the workload because she was the new person, and there was this other person, like, working on an essay or something, and I was like, this is such an interesting tableau of, like, 3 Asian American women, like, stressed out about their lives.
Yeah, I was in a Lyft one time, and this guy, like, took out his laptop and started working. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? That is so weird.
Well, that's our life today.
I know. It's just, like, so much bullshit and catching up on, like, work all the time and, like, just, like, doing things that don't really mean anything, which is, and I've been, like, feeling really frustrated with that, which is why this documentary couldn't have come at a better time. Yeah.
Very nice segue. But first I want to talk about, like, what we did when I came in today.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. When I came into your apartment, you were like, hi, how are you? And I said, good. And I immediately knew when I said it that I lied. But I just said it because, like, there's this...
Like, you just say, like, how are you? I'm fine. I'm good.
But there's also this instinct in me that, like, I don't want to let people know that I'm not good.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to burden people with your not being goodness.
Yeah.
Right?
But like, also I asked you, and you were like, yeah, I'm okay. But I knew immediately that you were lying. And I'm like, are you really okay? Because I lied. And I'm like, oh my God.
We were both lying. We're both not okay.
And then we hugged.
Yeah, we did. We're both on, like, minimal mode right now, which you might not be able to tell because we were laughing so much. But I told Sophia, I was like, sometimes the time during the weeks that I laugh is, like, when you come to this apartment and we record the podcast.
And then my heart melted on the floor.
Yeah, and then I had to clean it up. Inconsiderate. God, take your melting outside.
But yeah, it seems like very apropos and maybe ironic that we're having like a mental health podcast, but we're like lying also to ourselves about how good we are. But I think that's just life, and that's the imperfections that come with trying to be a mentally healthy person and trying to look after yourself.
Yeah, seriously. It's not easy. and we probably lie most of the time.
To ourselves also.
Honestly, I think I lie most to myself. Like, I don't even lie to other people. But, like, when you were like, are you lying to me? I was like, yes, I'm lying. But to myself, I'm like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's all fine. The world's not on fire. It's all cool.
It's
I feel happy.
It's like I gave you permission to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Not just to me, but to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I'm not fine.
Yeah, me either. Like, this week has been really kicking my ass. Sleep has been hard. Like, I've been sleeping 12 hours a day, but I'm still tired. And that just comes with the territory of being mentally ill.
And you know what? Like, honestly, I exactly get that because the same thing happens to me. And it's just so fucking frustrating. It's like, how am I tired?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a very simple equation. You rest, and then you're not tired anymore.
Yeah, you sleep for whatever amount of hours, 8 hours, and then you wake up and you're energized, you're ready to go, and blah, blah, blah. But, like...
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's not always the case. So, also, if you sleep a lot and then you still feel tired, don't beat yourself up. It's just your body trying to, like, preserve itself. Yeah. It's fine, guys. It's really fine.
Yeah, and, yeah, it's kind of like you have to keep on eating, but you're always hungry.
Yeah.
So annoying. And I actually, like, we're supposed to be very prepared for our podcast, but honestly, like, Priya watched this last night, this documentary, and I watched it this morning.
Yeah, so, like, that's how you know.
Yeah, this is raw.
We are.
This is raw as fuck.
Pushing it to the edge.
Tartar.
Ew. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, but speaking of this documentary, what did you think about it?
I really liked it. I really liked when the guys were like, we're huggers. I'm a hugger. Yeah. Like, I've never heard a guy say that ever.
That's so true.
Right?
Yeah.
It was just really nice.
They were nice about it, but they were very insistent on being like, come on in.
Like,
into my big bro arms.
I know, I would be the happiest girl in the world if I could be hugged by them.
Aww.
I feel like they give really good hugs. Because they have so much practice. They hug everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. Are you a hugger?
I am, but I don't, like, announce it to people. But it's definitely who I am inside.
You don't announce it to people?
Like, when people go in for a handshake, I don't go like, oh, I'm a hugger, let's just hug. It's just, you know. But it's definitely who I am inside.
Yeah, that's true.
I love
a hugger.
Affection.
Yeah, physical contact is, like, my love language. Ooh, we should talk about that on the podcast. Love languages.
Stay tuned.
For an upcoming episode in the future sometime. One of the things, like, they start off with, just, like, right off the bat, but, like, we know this, is that material things don't equal happiness. And, like, we all know this, but at the same time, like, we still fall for it every time because of, like, advertising and social media. And they really call out those two things. And, like, you know what's a really crazy fact? So I was wondering, like, how much advertising do we see on a day-to-day basis? Like, what does the average person see? Guess how many ads we're exposed to every day?
500.
4,000 to 10,000 ads per day. What the fuck?
Wow.
Isn't that fucking wild?
Yeah, that is wild.
Americans are exposed to up to 10,000 ads every single fucking day.
Yeah, and they talked about the impact on children, too.
Yeah.
Because they talked about how it used to be that they would advertise to mothers. Mm-hmm. You know, they could buy things for their children, but now they just go around and directly go to the children.
Yeah.
And there's obviously something harmful going on there that we don't know the full extent of yet. Mm-hmm. But there's a very strong argument for just not advertising to children at all.
Yeah, also it's just, like, social conditioning, you know? Like, when you are a kid that gets advertised to all the time, you equate, like, material things to happiness. And I think that that's where, like, a lot of, like, things like parenting comes in, where you have to, like, redirect, like, what they think, what they're exposed to during the day, and, like, be like, oh, you know, like, things don't necessarily equal happiness.
Yeah, but because everything is just in our lives now, it's hard to be a parent and, like, control the things that reach your child.
Yeah, and, like, we are not parents, and I can't even imagine, like,
can you guys fucking imagine? My neck salon is firmly, like, stitched.
Yeah, my Mirena is like up there and it's not coming down.
It's firmly fitted.
At any time soon. It's not coming down until it expires. And then another one's going right on up. But seriously.
Yeah, but hearing all this stuff makes me scared to be a parent.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can't imagine raising a child and going through all this, like, digital barrage.
Especially because, like, honestly, like, American culture, guys, like, let's be real. Like, capitalism, buying tons of shit, and advertising and social media, like, rule our lives. It's basically, they use the phrase, it's used like a yardstick. They use that phrase in the documentary, but it's basically, like, you're comparing yourself to, like, idealized versions of what life should look like, and it's just a lot of, like, keeping up with the Joneses type of thing.
Yeah, and you're making your things fit into your house instead of, like, designing your house to fit your things.
Yeah.
So you're just, like, filling the space.
Yeah.
And there was a researcher that said something profound where she was like, well, in the true sense of the word, we should be more materialistic. Like, in the sense that we should treat objects just as objects and not regard them as symbols of something else. And I think this is so ingrained now that when we buy something, we don't think of it as a symbol of something else, but really it is.
Yeah.
Like, why do you want that? Is it just because, like, that actually serves a purpose in your life, or is it because it represents something else?
Yeah. And, like, honestly, breaking out of this and, like, even recognizing that you do fall into this trap is, like, really, really hard. And, like, yes, I am not... Like, I'm honestly not a very, like, materialistic, like, brand-oriented person, but, like, I still like to buy things, you know? I still like to buy clothes, and really it's just clothes, like...
They talk about how, the two guys that are the main stars of the movie, they talk about how, consumption itself is not bad. It's compulsory consumption, where you feel like you have to have it.
Yeah, like keeping up with the Joneses rules your life, basically.
Yeah, and also what I loved about them is that, like, sometimes they were talking to rooms that had, like, 20 people in it.
But their energy and, like, their whole vibe...
Yeah, they're, like, their passion for their mission.
Mm-hmm.
It, like... I don't know, I just really admired how it held, even if they were talking to a room of, like, 2 people. And then by the end, like, they go on the Today Show and their show reaches millions, and obviously we're watching their documentary on Netflix. So it's really admirable to me how they held on to that message, and they were just like, you know, even if we talk to one person, I think that's worth it, because this message is really important.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like, honestly, this documentary was, like, it was just, like... so good to watch because it made you think about a lot of things. It wasn't just like a one-stop shop for, you know, self-help or minimalism or like a theory or like a way of life.
Or even like a conclusion, like this is what you should be doing. It's just like a thoughtful exploration.
Exactly, which is what I think I really like loved most about it. And it made me think of the question like, what is like enough for like me? Because like for like, okay, we're talking about just like American culture in general. Enough is never enough. Like you always want more. It's that hedonistic treadmill. Yeah, where you're constantly like wanting more. But like now I'm wondering like what is enough? Like how do you know when enough is enough? Like how do you know that you need to stop? Like you don't need to upsize your apartment or your house. You don't need more clothes. You don't need whatever. Like because the messaging that we're getting every single day is like you are not enough unless your stuff is enough.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're like fed, you have water and shelter, that's pretty much enough. Right. And everything is just fluff. And again, like consumption isn't bad necessarily. It's when you're like you're using it to fill something else in your life.
Yeah, like fill a void.
Yeah, and it's fascinating like interviewing the parents in this movie and how they're trying to lead their kids around this minimalistic life. And there was a family that said like, actually, we don't force them to get rid of things. It's absolutely their choice. And I think the best thing is just to be good parents and model that behavior, because you can tell children all you want about the values that you think they should have, but the best way to lead is by example. Yeah, it's like when I really hate when like adults or whatever, they're like, do as I say, not as I do. That's the most annoying, harmful messages there is, and we'll probably talk about that in another podcast. Yeah, I'm fascinated. Exactly. And like both being from cultures where that's very prevalent, I think that's a really interesting thing to explore. Yeah, definitely. And like honestly, showing and not telling is just like so important, and like not only in like parenting and stuff, which I have no experience in. Absolutely none. But like even in
like, for example, like creative writing and like fiction work, it's all about like showing and not telling.
Speaking of showing, like I found a lot of the images in this documentary be really beautiful.
Oh, 100%.
Like the way he frames the shot.
So like artistic.
Yes.
And beautiful. Yeah, you're right. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, there's one section where like Josh is reading a book in the desert, and it just looks like so cinematic.
Yeah, I was like, wow, is this a Killer's music video? Like, it was so cool. And honestly, like, I mean, I recommend that you guys definitely watch it. I mean, you don't have to like believe or like follow it. But it's definitely very thought-provoking. Do you recommend it?
Yeah, I do recommend it. I really like the experience I had. And they also talked about, like, fast fashion.
So much, yeah.
Yeah, and how there's now, like, 52 seasons in a year. Whereas before it would just be, like, this is the cold season, this is the warm season, and you buy clothes based on that. But now, like, you have to cycle through, like, for these companies to make money. And they actually destroy their own merchandise at the end of a very, very, very short season. So, like, they can't even donate it or sell it to someone else because they want you to have to keep
consuming
and buying the next new thing.
I think that the one thing that I really took away from this documentary is the idea of, like, mindless consumption and how to, I guess, beat it. But, like, that's not the right word. Like, how to overcome mindless consumption, I guess.
I think just, like, the intentionality of it is key.
Yeah, like, being conscious about, like, the messaging that you're getting every day and, like, not necessarily, like, you know, avoiding consumption altogether, but, like, really thinking about, like, will this add value to my life? Not necessarily, like, social value, like, increasing your social status, but, like, will it add, like, the good stuff, like, the happiness and, like, that value to my life?
Yeah, and I don't think of myself as, like, a materialistic person. I actually got my first smartphone in 2016.
Oh my god, damn, girl.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And this is, like, the smartphone I have now is the smartphone I had then. Like, I haven't upgraded or anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I'm kind of the person that's, like, I feel like it's very old-fashioned now, which is unfortunate, where, like, I use something until I can't use it anymore. Like, it breaks.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's sort of common sense.
Okay, can I just say something?
What?
Okay, I'm pretty much the exact same way. Like, this is gonna be so gross. My pillows on my bed that I use, they're probably like 15 years old. Like, I've never bought anything. Everything that I have has been like handed down. And, like, I have no desire to, like, upgrade anything because I'm like, it functions. Like, it's fine as it is. Until it breaks, I'm not doing anything with it. Like, I'm just gonna leave it. But I also think that is, like, maybe due to, like, immigrant mentality. And so I feel like, you know, that's part of it.
That's definitely part of it for me.
And what I mean by, like, immigrant mentality, for everyone who's like, what the fuck does that mean? It's basically just like...
First of all, tone it the fuck down. Like, we're gonna explain it to you, just listen. Priya bumped her elbow, and it was funny.
Yeah.
I like laughing at her pain.
Yeah. That she does. But basically, like, what I mean by immigrant mentality is, like, just, like, getting everything you can out of what you have.
Yeah.
And, like, if you don't need to buy something, don't buy it. Like, if you can save your money by, like, dealing with it, just deal with it.
Yeah, and also it comes from, like, you come into this country with so little.
Yeah,
so,
you want
like,
to preserve what you have.
Preserve what you have, exactly.
And, like, I am like that with pretty much everything in my life. Like, I've had sweatshirts that I've had for, like, 10 years, since I was, like, 15 or something like that. I still have stuff from when I was, like, in 7th grade that I use. Because, like, I just don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that lately. I went shopping lately, and these, like, cute clothes that I actually liked. And because I went shopping, I wanted to take out clothes that I didn't use anymore. And I also have stuff from, like, years and years ago, and I realized it's not even my style anymore.
Yeah, but you just keep it.
I just kept it.
Like, oh, just in case. Like, I don't...
Yeah, I don't want to waste it.
I don't waste it, yeah. Which, actually, it was really funny, because that actually happened to us with produce this morning. Because there was a banana, and it was, like, not a good banana. It was definitely a bad banana, but I kept eating it because I was like, oh, I feel bad throwing this away. And Sophia was like, if it's rotten, don't eat it. And I was like, oh, thank you for giving me permission to throw it away. Oh, my God. For some reason, like, I needed, like, outside validation that it was okay to throw something away.
And not eat something rotten.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't rotten. It was just, like, not good. Like, it was very mushy banana. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try and adopt, like, more minimalism and, like, minimalistic tendencies into my life. I feel like I want to, like, throw out a bunch of crap. Like, I'm ready. I'm so ready.
I love the tiny house featured in this documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Because they also go over, like, a little bit of the tiny house movement and how, like, people are downsizing a lot, and it's, like, a 650 square foot thing. And they also, like, went through apartments that had, like, 8 uses where, like, the bed is folding out of the wall.
Yeah, it was like a Murphy bed, and, like, you just move one thing and another thing pops up.
And then, like, there's, like, a dining table that pops out from the wall, and, like, there's, like, a desk, and you can make it your office. And this is all within the same, like, square footage. Yeah.
It was really, really cool. It was just, like, really, like, innovative and, like, technologically forward ways of thinking about what's really important in life and what you actually need to, like, live a good life.
And it's usually less than you think.
Oh, it's 100% less than you think. I, like, when they were on tour for their book tour, it was like 10 months, I think they were on the road.
Yeah, 10 months.
And they both had, like a duffel bag with them for, like, 10 months.
10 months, same clothes.
Same clothes, same stuff, whatever. And there was actually a project called Project 333,
Yeah.
where this woman wore 33 different items and just, like, cycled through them over the course of, like, 3 months. That was her initial, like, time frame, and then she ended up doing it for almost a year. And those 33 items included, like,
shoes, jewelry, and clothes.
Yeah, so it was, like, everything. And she actually said, like, no one noticed.
Yeah.
She was just wearing the same stuff. And she obviously, like, didn't wear the same outfit every single day.
No, you gotta mix it up.
Yeah, she was just, like, mixing it up and, like, being really creative with it. I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah, I think one of the things they said was, like, they think when people hear about minimalism and the movement, they think you're trying to take something away from them.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually trying to give something back to you.
Yeah, like, give you back your own ability to, like, decide what you think is a good life and, like, decide how you want to live your life. Which I thought was, like, a really, like, it's a really good goal to, like, change people's lives for the better. And, like, these guys, they're so, like, sweet and nice.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to, like, pat them on the head.
Yeah, they're just huggers, and they scream when they drive over a state line.
Yeah. And they delved into a little bit of their childhoods, and they delved into, like, economic history and all this stuff. And I just feel like those backgrounds and the, like, digging into the past a little bit was so helpful in terms of, like, really getting to the core of how they, like, lived their lives up to that point and why they lived their lives like that, and then what the, like, turning point was, like, what the catalyst for change was.
Yeah, and they came from very, like, high-earning jobs.
Yeah.
And they talked about sort of regretting the time they spent there. One of the guys, what's his name? Nicodemus?
Not Ryan.
Ryan, he talks about, like, there was a moment in his career where he was trying to figure out how to sell cell phones to 5-year-olds. And that was kind of the turning point in his thinking of, like, what am I doing here? And is this something I actually find meaningful? So, like, to hear that from somebody who's, like, actually earned that much money and had that much stuff, and then they say, like, oh, it's not all that cracked up to be. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, and they pull in, like, I think it was a Jim Carrey quote, where it was like, oh, I wish everyone could be rich and famous to realize that it's not good. I don't know what the second part was.
It's not as good as it seems, something like that.
Yeah. And they were like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, of course Jim Carrey can say that, like,
because he's rich and famous.
Yeah, but then they came back, or, like, they, you know, retorted, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, vocabulary.
Yeah, vocabulary. They came back and they were like, well, if anything, he is number one, like, the most qualified to say this because he is rich and famous. And, like, I totally get that. You know, like, yes, you know, I don't want to be famous. Do you want to be famous?
No, that sounds like a nightmare.
Right?
People are entitled to your time all the time.
Yeah. Ugh, being famous sounds like very much work, and I do not want to do that work. No, thank you. Being rich, on the other hand, I don't know. It seems like that's also a lot of work.
Yeah, well, I think
not even like the getting rich. It's just like the managing the rich.
That's
you know?
true.
Like the investing and the accounts and the accountant and I don't know.
Yeah, I think about money all the time, and it's something that worries me. And I think that especially comes from the immigrant part of me as well. And it's never like material stuff I want. It's the financial security.
Exactly. And that's the same thing with me. It's like, I just want to know that I'm safe.
Yeah, I'm gonna be fine if I break my leg tomorrow. Like,
yeah,
I'm fine.
I will be okay. But it's also like the idea that like, when is enough? Like, when will I know that I am safe? Like, how much money do I need in my savings account? Like, you know, all that kind of stuff. Because even if the feeling that you're after is just of like safety and like feeling like financially secure, you could still very easily get caught in the trap of like more and more and more, even if that isn't like material stuff that you're after, but like bigger bank account, bigger bank account, bigger bank account. You're always chasing something that doesn't like serve you in the here and now. And that was another part of the documentary, was like forgetting about the past and like the future and just focusing on the present moment as much as you can and like getting everything you can out of it.
But yeah, they interviewed this reporter. I think his name is like Dan Hansen, and he used to be a journalist on the Today Show, I think. Anyway, well,
ABC. I think it was ABC or something. He was like
yeah, and he had a panic attack on live television. And he basically learned that, you know, you can only worry about something so much before it becomes non-constructive.
Yeah.
And if you're worrying about something for the 14th time in a row, is that really going to help you? Because sometimes worry does help. Like, it gets you thinking more clearly about the situation that you're in. But at a certain point, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Like,
and you just have to let it go.
Function for you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually something that I have a problem with, is like figuring out, okay, like, this is my problem. I'm really, really like freaking out about it and whatever. And knowing like when the freaking out is constructive and when it starts to like actually like degrade my mental health, because I feel like I don't know the difference and I will just freak out on end. And I'm trying really, really hard to like figure out, okay, when is it enough? Like, when is my worry enough and the freaking out enough and like all of that stuff. So that's just something I'm working on. I am actually, though, gonna like throw out a bunch of stuff and like go through everything. Even if I don't throw out a bunch of stuff, I'm gonna make sure that everything I have brings me joy, a la Marie Kondo. Marie!
Hey, girl.
Hey. So sorry about the roast in episode 2. It's fine. It's fine. You're fine. You still have a thriving empire, so it's cool. One thing that I want to leave you guys with is just like this thing that they said on the not the podcast. This is the podcast. One thing that they said on the documentary, which was just like quality over quantity, and like that one thing applied to like every single aspect of your life will make it like that much better. Yeah,
you'd rather have one good thing than 10 crappy things. They're just things in the end.
Yeah, even people. Like, you'd rather have, like, let's say 3 really, really amazing people that you can always count on than, like, 50 people who are just, like, meh. You know? Or even one person that you can count on and 50 people that are meh. So, yeah, quality over quantity, mon frere. Excuse my French.
Stupid. So stupid.
I'm a silly lady. You know this. Okay, last thing. I promise then we'll let you leave the podcast. I had bananas in my house, and then I was hanging out with my sister, and I took a banana and I put it near my head like a telephone, and then I started talking to it like an old-timey person, and I was like, hello operator, yes, please connect me too. And then my sister like threw something at me, and she was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, it's fun, it's so silly. Yeah.
Lots of bananas in this episode.
Yeah, lots of bananas, because you know what that means. Just kidding.
It's a good source of potassium.
It is a good source of potassium. And also, if you're not feeling good, if your tum is bad, eat a banana.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking through whatever the fuck that was. We love you so much.
Seriously, check out Minimalism documentary. It's only an hour long, and it's on Netflix, so you should totally watch it.
And you can email us at selfhelpuspodcast@gmail.com.
Especially if you have tips on worrying and how to stop worrying.
Yes!
That's something I've been struggling with, so if you know something, you know, share the wealth, guys. Share the wealth.
Try your best to live your best life.
Take care, guys.
Bye.